Nelson Molina spent 34 years on the back of a New York garbage truck and developed an almost mystical sixth sense.
I developed these sensors that I can look at the bag and know there's something in there, or I can hear something when I pick up the bag.
He has amassed a collection of more than 50,000 pieces. Think of him as a sort of Indiana Jones of junk. What others saw as disposable, Molina knew was collectible.
Do you see this stuff as junk? No.
Yeah.
This is not junk at all. We call this mango. It's something that you pick up and you give it a second life, or you give it to somebody can use it again, instead of just throwing it out.
You had a room full of Mongo.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mongo is New York Sanitation Department slang for stuff that's been pulled from the trash and then saved or reused, resurrected, if you will.
Hey guys, welcome to Sweet Spot. Let's talk about Luxilon Eco Power. Please excuse the sudden change in the background. I'm just rejigging my workplace. Now, this ring caught my eye because it is made from 100% recycled material, and I wondered, just how good could a string like this be? As it turns out, pretty damn good. I strung this up in my Bolt 98 Lite V1 at 45 pounds in both the mains and crosses, and it's got this really nice minty green turquoise color going on. The color actually reminds me of recycling bags, which I feel kind of captures the ethos of this string pretty well. Regardless, I feel it looks great. I actually did not expect much from this string when I first took it out because it felt very plasticky and cheap. I also didn't have a great time stringing with this because it notched and kinked very easily. It actually notched noticeably as I was tensioning the crosses across the string bed. But after that initial notching, the string settled in and really did resist notching enough to not affect playability. So how did it play? Well, it played really well. So much so that I really struggled to find a weakness in it. Luxilon has a lot of heritage in this tennis string business, and it really shows here. Well done, Luxilon. I was very pleasantly surprised. The string had good power, good control, decent spin generation, decent arm comfort. Any metric that you normally would rate a string on, it seemed to perform above average. I fully recognize that part of this is the fact that my expectations of this string were so low, and the fact that it did above average in all of these metrics really goes to show why I'm so happy about it. There are two caveats to this performance, and I'll go over them in just a bit. Now, one conclusion you could make is that the string has no standout feature, so it's kind of meh. But the flip side is that you're not really compromising on anything given its 100% recycled composition. And bear in mind that compromise seems to be a running theme with recycled products. Okay, let's talk about the caveats, which may or may not be a con for you depending on what your priorities are. The first, and perhaps the most important caveat, is that this string has an unbelievably low launch angle. I basically dumped everything into the net my first 15 minutes with this string. Now, this took a little bit of getting used to, but my own natural playstyle prefers a low launch angle, so if you're anything like me where you like to live dangerously and skim this much over the net, then you're going to love this. For me, this low launch angle worked best for slices. It gave me a lot of chances to create short angles, which is what I love to do, which is to use the full width and length of the court to force my opponent into uncomfortable movement patterns. So if you have a particularly crafty style of play, like Fabrice Santoro from back in the day, who I used to love to watch, I would just go out and buy the string. I think you're going to be very happy. Okay, so the second caveat is the duration of the playability of the string. Now, what do I mean by this? I'm not particularly sensitive to tension loss, but what I'm very sensitive to is when the strings go dead, which for me is when the strings lose their natural elasticity and stretch that they have. This string lost its natural elasticity and stretch quite quickly, somewhere between 6 to 7 hours. This loss of elasticity came as a black and white moment. I knew instantly when that happened. I personally love this because I'm the kind of person that wants my equipment to tell me when it is spent, to give me a clear indication of when that happens. Bear in mind that I string my rackets myself, so cutting a string out every 6 hours or so isn't as cost prohibitive for me as it would be for someone else who did not do that. But if this aspect of durability, like the playability, how long the strings maintain their stretch for, is important to you, then I would just look elsewhere. Bear in mind that this is coming from someone who is super sensitive to this. Other friends of mine who tried this string felt that they were playable even though I thought I was done with them. So in summary, if you want a good all-rounder of a string that has a super low launch angle, perhaps you're a flat hitter, and you're not particularly bothered by how long you want to keep your strings in your racket for, then give this a try. You'll be really pleasantly surprised. Okay, that's it for today. Well done, Luxilon. I am pleasantly surprised, and this goes at the top of my leaderboard. This may become my regular go-to string. Do I throw this back in the recycling bin?